I want to talk about the creative headspace and how to really tap into it. Tapping into the creative headspace for me, I feel like it's just pure imagination. Like grabbed out of thin air. Whenever I find myself getting inspired by finished products or an already finished project, I feel like my freeform thinking is not like true. It's not real. It's not there. Like I'm being inspired by something that's already been created. So how can that be pure creativity? Creativity is spawned through nostalgia, like childhood nostalgia, because in your childhood, all you do is imagine. All you do is have imagination. You think there's a monster under your bed. You know, you think that the trees are huge and the sky is so blue. All the colors are different when you're a child because your imagination is able to really tap into its senses. Your senses are part of your creativity. Smelling, hearing, seeing. You need to go outside in nature. Don't use already finished products. And I say finished products because, I mean, they're there for you to be inspired and motivated per se, but it's a false sense of creativity. You know, a real sense of creativity is pressing record and talking. Or free-form writing, painting something. You know, creative headspace can come and go as well. You know, it's really hard to stay in a creative headspace because we're so distracted. We're always being shown different things on our phones. We're going to work. You know, going to work is the biggest distraction we have because we're tapping into a work brain other than our creative brain. You know, we're tapping into a different headspace and working for someone else or working in general. You know, even if you work for yourself, like you're still working, still gotta tap into work. You know, there's work and then there's being creative. Being creative it is hard work. Creative is hard work, but I feel like it's not hard work if you really know how to tap into it. The hardest part is tapping into it. And once you do, I feel like it makes it so much easier to create, to be able to take out a blank piece of paper and draw something off a figment of imagination, you know? And I've come across artists, even myself, who get inspiration off of other templates, you know, using a template as inspiration. You know, that's great. It gets the job done. And logically speaking, that's what you need. You know, you just need to get the job done. But if you don't need to get the job done, but you just want to get a certain result, if you want a certain result out of your creativity, you need to use pure imagination. You need to be different. There's no need to copy anyone. There's no need to use other people's inspiration. You need to grab it out of thin air, and that is straight creativity. It's hard to stay doing that. It's hard to continue doing that. One of the things that I do to tap into my creative headspace is to go to a new location, go somewhere new, or even go to a park. Going to a park brings me childhood nostalgia, like being around trees, climbing trees, and just being around in nature. Like especially if it's nice and sunny out, you got the sun on your skin, you're smelling the grass, you know, like childhood nostalgia. You're able to tap into that headspace a little easier. I'm not saying it's cake work. No, it's not cake. Creativity is never cake. But I'm saying to really try to force that creativity into you. You can put yourself in a different room, put yourself outside, you know, and surround yourself by pure creativity, which is nature. You know, you can go to a museum and be inspired, but it's all finished product. It's all finished projects. And you'll always use that as a template. And even if you get the job done, you'll always think back to what inspired you. If your inspiration comes from imagination, it's purely your creation. It is your creation. No one can take it from you. And if anything, people will probably use your creativity as a template, you know? Creativity is free-form thinking. To be able to think outside the box. You know, that's creativity. It's not just wanting to put a butterfly on a piece of paper and copying another you're creating something, but it's not pure creativity. And I don't want to sit here and define creativity. It's different for everyone, okay? I'm not going to sit here and boast about creativity like I'm the most creative person in the world. No. Like, come on. I can't even draw something without looking at something else. You know, that's part of being creative. You have to understand what you are actually drawing. You have to imagine it. You have to really be part of it to get into the headspace. And for me to press record every day and start talking is a creative headspace, honestly. And to get into this headspace, I hype myself up. I talk about what I'm going to talk about. You know, I try to put keywords into my brain of what I would even want to talk about. Creativity, freeform thinking, nostalgia, and nature. Keywords. I think of keywords of what to say because it allows me to imagine what I could say off of those keywords. And I think that goes with a lot of things in life. Like if you were to go outside and see the beautiful grass and the trees, like if someone just mowed the grass, you know, it's nice and it smells great. It brings back childhood nostalgia. You can think of so many things in that one moment that just trigger you because of the senses of smell, the senses of what you see and how you feel. You know, creativity is not spawned off your phone. Even the phone in your hand is a product. It's already a finished product of creativity. And we still copy that template and try to make it better. That's not creativity. That's called innovation. Creativity is literally grabbing something out of thin air and creating it. Boom. It's real now. You know? Also, I feel like another way to tap into your creativity is to read a good fiction book. Read a book that has a really good story. Read a book that you can really feel like you're in the book. You know, you can imagine yourself in the story, feeling everything the characters are feeling because you find yourself in that headspace, that creative headspace. Like you might use the book as a template, but you're already putting yourself in a different situation, mentally. Obviously, physically, you're just reading a book, but mentally, it's all about the mental, guys. It's all about imagination. And if you're able to imagine a story in a book, you're able to tap into your imagination. It becomes easier, you know? And nowadays, there's not a lot of people who even read books. You know, we get distracted by books. Quite honestly, if it's not a good book, we're going to read barely 2 sentences and put it down, end up getting distracted on our phones. It's hard to read a book. It's hard to sit down and really read a book for an hour, you know? But just doing that simply makes you tap into your creative headspace. Just that. I mean, I can name so many different examples like free writing, journaling, doodling, even doodling, just doodle. Whenever I'm on the phone, I mean, I think this is for everybody, honestly, but whenever I'm on the phone, I'm just doodling flowers, hearts, butterflies, whatever. It's whatever's on my mind, I'm creating it. Sometimes I create the most weirdest shit, you know? But if it's coming from the figment of my imagination, I am creating it. Creativity is not already finished. Creativity will never be finished. Ask the creator. Ask the creator. The creator created the inspiration, all the inspiration you need, and it's nature. Go outside. Nature is the first part of creativity, I believe. That's just my opinion. But yeah, being in a creative headspace is really hard, especially when you're always being distracted, always being stimulated things on your phone. Like, nothing has to be like everything else. Your creativity doesn't have to be like the next person. If anything, you should be so different, it freaks people out. Think about all the composers back in the day, Beethoven, you know, Van Gogh. Like, they all were weird, okay? They had their own imagination going on. They had their own mental issues, right? People call them mental issues. But it was really just, they were different. They're able to think in a pure, free-form way. And nowadays, that's really hard to come by. It's really, really hard. And it's really hard to tap into it and to stay in it, to constantly be staying in it. Unless you are rich and wealthy and able to move around the world how you please and change with the seasons, it is hard. It's hard because not everyone is, you know, able to just move around. If it's always cold or raining where you are, it's kind of hard to go find some sunshine. If there's no sunshine available, you know, you gotta deal with what you got. Deal with the cards that you're dealt. You know, if you want to get into the creative headspace, there's many different ways to get into it. But you have to be willing to be not perfect. You have to be willing to be different and weird. You have to be willing to feel weird to be in a creative headspace. Like me making this video, you know, I can feel weird talking to the camera and just literally talking out the dome. I could feel weird. But in my head, I'm imagining the next thing I'm saying every single time I'm talking. I'm always imagining what I could say, where it could go. Like,